that you want to tell us about?
No, I don't think I have anything new at the moment. Just enjoying what I have.
Got some nice
All the
bird
background
action.
there too. Got like a canopy going.
What's that?
I said I love the background. It's like a canopy. I could almost see you're in a treehouse almost.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
What
like
you're seeing
that.
there is you're seeing my avocado plant. I had an avocado that tried to sprout, and I tossed the seed in a pot, and it grew.
Look at it go. Wow.
Yeah.
You gonna get some avocados?
Well, probably not.
I didn't know. Yeah, Michigan was prime avocado growing.
I'm afraid it isn't. I'll have to move it inside if I want to keep it.
Because Valerie wanted to make it, and she can't make it, so I was going to record the meeting. If anyone has a problem with that, or you want me to turn it off, just let me know. But it'll also be recorded for Dan if he wants to join us later. And Rob talks with Dan pretty often, so I don't know, maybe Rob's got some of Dan's issues to just discuss. But the other option is we can hold on we were going to talk about the MSU partnership first, but why don't we I'll post the agenda in the chat window. Why don't we do a brief update on Solarize Meridian, and we maybe cover some of these other things. Hey, Heidi.
Yeah, actually related to Solarize Meridian, I have something to just mention. Let's see, we've done 5 meetings so far, and the only person left on my list of potential host was Jim Detchen. And so talked to Rob and Pete yesterday, and we discussed the possibility of doing a September, maybe October meeting. Now, that would be because they're booked up through October. If that happens, that would really be installation next year because of the timing. But we could, have a meeting for folks and get them started, get assessments done, get people kind of committed, and then they would be first in line for 2023. Now, they would miss out on the 26% federal tax credit, but they'd still get 22%. And so I did send Jim a note yesterday just saying, haven't heard from you for a while. Are you still interested? And explain to him what the deal would be if he wanted to do something in September and October. And, that's the only people on my list that had kind of expressed an interest in doing meetings. And of course, we're getting kind of late into the season now. So that's kind of the latest for me.
Heidi, do you have an update? Did you end up doing your workshop?
Yeah, we did it on, what was that, last Thursday, July 14th. And I guess Pete's not here, but Rob might know. I think there were 2 people that
And then
requested
a third
quotes.
as well, I think. He might not have been actually in the presentation, but he's being included in the group. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I think so. I think there's whatever number there was, there's one more.
So that's either 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 3. But but this person decided that they wanted to join. I think yesterday, or even he emailed Pete and said, yep, I'd like to be a part of that last group. He's in Meridian. He just didn't actually get to attend the presentation, but we thought no reason why. I mean, he knows the process. Pete has explained everything to him, so he's up to speed and is in the area. So I think he should qualify, and we can get him part of that group.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I should mention one other thing, which is I had some communications with Solar King, and Solar King had a customer in the township, and they thought they would be interested in hosting a meeting. So I kind of went through with the Solar King marketing director, kind of the deal. in kind of the situation. And they had initially set something up a while back, which was then postponed, and actually it was going to happen last week, but then it don't know what happened. So I checked with them, didn't hear back. I'm guessing, and then I saw an announcement of them doing a meeting in Ann Arbor. So I'm guessing that they just got too busy. And whether I'll hear from them again or not, who knows? I also had some communications with Michigan Solar Solutions. Both those firms are on our list of 5 installers, and just discussed with them Solarize Meridian and kind of how we had set it up and whatever. So I haven't heard back from those folks at all, whether, and of course it's getting late now. And I think from what I can tell, all the solar installers are pretty busy. So I don't actually expect to hear from either of those 2 firms going forward, at least for this year's program.
I had heard from Steve Shapetis of Custom Home Services, wanted to know how to get on our list of approved solar people. I haven't informed him that we have not approved any of these people, but
Right.
these contractors are participating in Solarize Meridian. So I wanted, should I have him give you a call, Steve, or does anybody know anything more about Custom Home Services?
Not heard of them.
I haven't heard of them, so I'd be interested in, do you have any information about their background?
Don't, but why don't I forward along the name and number, or try and get an email and a little bit more information, and then I'll share that with you, and just, they may or may not be interested in participating in Solarize Meridian, but that was the primary criteria, correct? To get them on the list is interest in participating in the Solarize.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 companies that are on the list now, I had approached all of them. They're all GLREA members. They've been around for a long, long time. And so it was not to me, it was, as long as they had expressed an interest, there wasn't any issues, folks who we're not aware of, I guess it's just a matter of doing a little research and feeling comfortable with them being on the list, right? That they didn't decide yesterday that they want to be solar installers. So yeah, I think a little research would be a good idea, just to see, check out their website, maybe even have a conversation with them to see how many they've done, how many installations they've done, where they're located, that sort of thing.
I will say, John, if you've never heard of them and I haven't, that makes me a tiny bit skeptical, just because I feel like you and I are fairly aware of who's out there. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they might not be a good option, but it could be a very new, like, oh yeah, we've been doing this other service for a long time, and ooh, we should do this too. And yeah, I don't.
Right.
Hard to say.
I'm gonna check Dan's office and see if he's in real quick. Be right back.
Yeah, one thing, and I guess this is an issue maybe it's for us at GLREA too. Yeah, we want to encourage new people to get into the business, of course, and I'm not sure how best to handle that, because part of the problem is you want to only have people on a list who have some experience, and how do you get started is the problem, right? Now, part of it though is like you guys are a good example. You had been in business for a while. You had been doing related type of work. You had people that had some relevant training and experience. So that all factors in,
I do think that it's reasonable to assume that before someone is on a preferred list, they do have experience with it. They can't be like, oh, we've never done one, put us on a preferred list, right? So I'd like to think that if they're reaching out, they must have done some installs. I mean, there's some resources out there where you can find, I think there's a Michigan Solar Users Network, where you might have people who have worked with that company, and then you can get kind of see people's feedback. That's hopefully very just kind of honest, and you can get a sense. And
Okay.
digging on the website, I will say Pete does have several people in mind, I think, that would be eager to be potentially a part of Solarize, that are in the area and are really just really big renewable energy advocates that I'm sure would love to be hosts. So we'll start to kind of put our feelers out and see who's interested. And the only other thing I'll add is that by getting some workshops maybe going towards the end of the year, then like John said, you can be kind of first on the list. So then when your system's going on, you're seeing yourself coming into spring and summer, and that's kind of a really ideal time. I usually to get a system turned on. It's exciting and coming into high production versus end of year going into winter. So that's only thought there, and the tax credit's still there next year.
Okay. I know Rob is sacrificing his attention span for us today.
Thank you, Rob.
So why don't we talk about the MSU partnership, which might involve Rob as well, and I'll share this information with Dan later, but he may pop in here if he can. So you want to get right into it?
Absolutely. So this has been in the works for a little while. They have the program up on its feet. We basically helped partner with MSU to get the DOE grant funded, and we were just kind of renewable energy, associates with MSU as consultants with that, and I sitting on the advisory board. And basically what it is, it's a DOE grant that allows the new Industrial Assessment Center program to be funded and get on its feet. And they have now, I believe, completed 19 assessments in the area. It's a completely free MSU program that is, ran by professors and students who are interested in sustainability and green building. And basically, it's university teams with engineering students and faculty go and do a comprehensive assessment of either industrial or any type of commercial facility that meets certain criteria. Also, they need to have 10% of the assessments have to be wastewater or water resource related in some capacity. And basically, a report is provided that gives details on, how to improve efficiency, any available rebates, how to have, any cost savings that are there. I mean, really anything and everything that can improve the facility's, use, and also anything that's out there that could potentially apply as incentives, that would all be provided as well. And then so far, I mean, they kind of do, I think, roughly 20 industrial assessments a year, 15 commercial. And basically it's 4 to 5 people, student, faculty, professor teams. And then the qualifying buildings, and I've met with one of the lead professors on this, and we talked specifically about the opportunities of Meridian. And there's 3 facilities in particular that really should be great candidates for this. The service center meets the commercial standard. It needs to be 100,000 square feet or less. Now, I believe that would qualify. 100,000 is a lot, and I think that the service center should not be that large. I don't believe. We can confirm that. And then can't have any multifamily or indoor agriculture. Obviously, that's not the service center. And then basically just the only other requirement is being willing to be listed as a program participant on MSU's program. And, I did talk to Professor Seaton, and she lives in Meridian, and, obviously a lot of students do too. And so they were very excited at the prospect of partnering, with a local township. And that's very exciting for them, being right in the backyard of these professors that are doing the assessments. So, Leroy?
Can it include, we don't have a wastewater facility that we manage, but could it include pumps? I don't even know if Rob would be interested in engineering eyes on our pumps, but we do pump wastewater and we do pump fresh water.
Sure. So I know that, per the requirements, there is, wastewater or any water resource facility, right? So I believe that the water treatment plant or any pump facility that moves water, that would be a water resource facility. I believe it would qualify. Now, Professor Seaton is more than happy to set up a meeting. I told her that, I would hopefully be walking away from our meeting today with a sense of how I can help connect the township and her. And I would defer a question like that to her probably, just to be safe.
Rob keeps pretty on top of the pump situation, but what do you think, Rob? Do you think that'd be worth exploring further?
Does it have to be a building? I have 2 lift stations that are buildings, but I have 28 overall lift stations. That is, I guess, a question.
Yeah, that's once we get into more of the specifics. I mean, I'm learning about the program right now myself on its feet. So I would want to probably defer to her and get you guys connected, or I can, pass that question along, because she's more than willing to either jump into one of these meetings with us or set up a separate one. Yeah, I mean, I think she was very interested in the anything to do with the water resource, because they do need 10% of these assessments need to come from something related to water resource management or wastewater generally. And so I'd like to think there's an app there. She made it clear too that there can be some wiggle room, especially for very local facility, which is beneficial for the students and the professors as well. So I think everybody is eager to work with the township on this. And then the other big building I think would be public safety town hall, because that qualifies as, it's not a multifamily. It's not over 100,000 square feet. It's not industrial. I don't believe there's more than 500 employees working there. That's one of the requirements. And the other thing is that there isn't, basically commercial resources to conduct an assessment in-house, which I know that we don't have, like full audit engineers that just do this. So then everything should qualify. And I explained this to Professor Seaton, and those 3 targeted facilities. Now, granted, I think there might be room for more here, because it can be any commercial facility that qualifies, and it doesn't need to be of a certain size. Now, we talked only about the larger facilities just because you can get the most out of the assessment. But it doesn't mean smaller facilities can't have assessments as well. I mean, it's completely free, and it can be beneficial. And I will say they are one of only 9 of these IAC programs in the country that are basically a pilot program for commercial, because the rest of them are all industrial focused, over 100,000 only square feet in all industrial centers. But MSU is one of only 9 that are basically branching off into any version of commercial. So they do want, and that includes municipal, and they do want to have a nice variety. So smaller buildings can be considered as well. And it's a great way for the township to learn about any possible way to make those buildings more efficient and utilize any incentives. It's also a great thing for the university to get this program on its feet. It's a great partnership, I believe, and really good for the students. I know when I was at MSU, I would have been eager to be a part of something like this, and now it's actually there, which is great. So yeah, I mean, at this point, Professor Seaton is happy to set up a meeting with anyone who would like to kind of be a part of getting this conversation moving.
Thank you for that quick overview. Welcome, Dan. Rob just gave a very quick overview of this potential partnership with DOE and MSU, and you caught the tail end of it where he talked about the 3 buildings. But why don't we open it up to Q&A or other comments for folks?
I think it'd be really interesting to do some kind of integrated pumping study. I know pumping is a very high energy use, and even though it's not necessarily a building, if there was some flexibility in the system that would allow an integrated look at all of the different pumping that goes on in the township and make some recommendations with regard to efficiencies for the future, that could be a big energy savings down the road.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that has to be, and again, I'll defer to Dr. Seaton, but if 10% of their assessments have to be tied to some sort of water treatment or water resource in some way, I'd like to think pumping has to be a pretty integral part of that assessment, as that is the largest use, the biggest draw. So I do think that's definitely something worth exploring.
Hey, Robert, Dan, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, other than finding out whether we can look at the lift stations.
Great. I know one challenge we've had in the past is the accessibility of the public safety building, especially if we got 5 people walking through. I don't know if that's an issue that's been resolved, but you know, if we sub out one of the buildings, I don't know how limited we are, but it would seem like that may be an issue, but I hate to bring it up, but if we're looking at doing a pumping study or at the 37 lift stations or whatever it is, I'd certainly be in favor of that. Dan's got quite a few good connections at MSU, and do you have any just general questions? We haven't gotten too far into depth, so nothing's off limits here.
Yeah, Rob, sorry for being late. I was actually working on some specs for the solar project that you guys are doing for us this year. So what are can you just quickly run down the eligibility criteria for this new program with MSU? Like what would we need to satisfy in order to be eligible? And then what kind of benefit do we get from the program?
Sure. Yeah, and no problem. A couple minutes behind here, it's all recorded too. But you know, essentially, so there's industrial, commercial, and then water related qualifying assessments. The assessment is basically conducted by MSU students in the program and then faculty and professors, and usually in teams of 4 to 5. And basically they provide a comprehensive report that details really any opportunity for the facility to be more efficient, you know, cost effective, with a full list of any available rebates, incentives for anything that could apply to that particular facility with its use. And then MSU provides that report. And then as far as qualifying buildings for commercial or non-industrial buildings like we'd be talking about here, it needs to be less than 100,000 square feet, no multifamily, no indoor agriculture, and must be willing to have the name of the entity listed as a participant in the program. And then other than that, I believe can't be more than 500 employees at a site. And then there can't be enough resources with that particular entity where they have completely in-house full, you know, energy audit engineers that just do this, which unless, you know, I don't think we have a full team of that just for the township. That's more like, you know, we're talking giant corporations that have entire wings of people that do this. And so those people wouldn't qualify. You know, as far as the water treatment, I know Professor Seaton, who I've been in communication with, she lives in Meridian Township, and so loves this idea too, for her and her students. But the water stuff, I would need to look more into, like the stations and if that's possible there. But I know they were quite excited. She was quite excited about the idea of the water treatment or wastewater treatment, because that's just something that has to be, they have to check that box with DOE to you know, to satisfy the grant. And then she did indicate there's some flexibility too, as far as maybe kind of adjusting what facilities qualify. And MSU is one of only 9 IAC programs, pilot programs in the country that are moving into commercial all sizes, and not just industrial. So that means, I mean, really, we just talked about those 3 buildings, but there's no reason why a lot of other ones can't qualify too. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of potential. I'd love to kind of connect Dr. Seaton with the team, just so I can make sure the questions are being answered really thoroughly, because I'm going to defer to her. But she's eager to touch base and you know, set up a meeting if that would be the next step. Yeah.
You know, too, the fact that they're doing a lot of industrial facilities and water facilities means they're dealing with a lot of electric pumps, which is a good thing too, because they're obviously have already been gaining experience about what's out there and what could be done. I think one of the advantages with the fact that they're part of this DOE program, which has been around for a long time, is that I used to work with the U of M folks when they had the program. It has very good quality assurance I mean, they set the program up to kind of make sure that things are done well. And, you know, I'm pretty sure it's usually senior students had a lot of classes and experience. So and of course, there's always the professors supervising the assessments too. So it's from what I know, it's a real quality program, and the cost, is good. The price
Yeah,
is
the
right.
cost is good, being that it's nothing. So that's great, and really great to hear that, John, because I know you work with U of M and think they were strictly industrial, I believe. And so I will say too that I kind of tried to let the program get on its feet a bit too, because I didn't want the Meridian facilities to be, oh, this is our very first one. We're working this out. Well, they've already completed 19 assessments, so it's off and running. And they've really got this, I think, worked out pretty well. And the idea of partnering with Meridian in MSU's backyard, I mean, I think that was very exciting, for them. So yeah, I really think it could be a really great partnership.
Any other questions?
I like the price.
Great. Well, thank you for that overview, Rob, and thanks for joining us, Dan and Rob. Anything else before we move on to the?
My only thought, can I tell Dr. Seaton, should we set up a separate meeting just to sort of like I can introduce her to you guys, or do we want to have her join the next energy team meeting? I know that they can only do so many a year. So if we're thinking any of these can happen next year, it might not be the worst idea to kind of get the conversation with her started. As far as next year's planning. So I was just hoping I could reach out to her and say, hey, we'd like to schedule a separate meeting with you, or we'd like you to make an appearance at the next energy team meeting. Whatever that you guys prefer, I'll let her know.
Yeah, I think if you want to work with Leroy to schedule a time for a separate meeting, and we can
go
over what we've done thus far with her and
perfect
what they can do to help us.
Perfect.
Sounds good. I do have a conflict with the next energy team meeting, but we can work out, maybe throw some times out. And thanks for your interest, both Rob and Dan. Rob, if you have any angles on the pumping, things that you would like to see or review as part of the proposal, it might be interesting to kind of get your sense of where the opportunities might be.
And that's a good point, Leroy. I think there's maybe some flexibility here too. I mean, since it's a pilot program that is not strictly that industrial, I mean, if there's, like the lift stations, and stuff, I do think there's some room here for, maybe some kind of creative applications of the program. I mean, the big part of it is they want to do new things, right? So they want to do facilities and types of assessments that haven't been done before. And so that could be something like lift stations, very specific use locations. I mean, I'll obviously defer to Dr. Seaton in the program, but I do think there is some room there for stuff that you might not normally, kind of associate with an energy assessment. So we can maybe get creative and see what MSU can do to.
Great. Okay. Anything else on the partnership? Okay, cool. We talked about Solarize Meridian. Heidi just had her workshop last week, and we may have one more in the fall. Climate action plan. John, did you ask to put that on the agenda?
Yeah, because, in our previous meetings, we've kind of gone through our three sections, which is, renewable energy, energy efficiency, and transportation. And we've talked to the Environmental Commission about the renewable energy and transportation section. Haven't had a chance to talk about energy efficiency, but I wanted to put it on the agenda just to see if anybody on the team had any further thoughts about updates or changes to our sections of the climate action plan, sustainability plan, because I think we're at the point where we can kind of say to the Environmental Commission, we've done kind of our part, and it's ready for kind of incorporation into the kind of like the final draft, because we got a bunch of environmental commission committees and task forces looking at different pieces of the climate action plan. So to me, it's just kind of like checking in with the energy team. Anything else come up that you you think we should put into our draft?
Well, I like the idea of including this MSU partnership. I think that would be, if it seems like there's some good support for that, which we're recommending, it sounds like maybe Rob could write up a paragraph or a couple sentence. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think I don't know if we would want to have that initial meeting so we can maybe narrow down what is viable or not, or speak more broadly to it with just maybe 2 sentences about generally the partnership.
Yeah, I don't think we have to get too detailed in the
Okay.
plan. I mean,
Sure.
it's more of sort of lifting the vision. And as we know, things change over time. This is really looking 5 years out. So,
Okay.
and maybe the wording is already sufficient how it is, because we do talk about partnerships with MSU. So I'm just thinking out loud here.
Sure.
Oh, and the other thing related to the kind of the drafts is, I know Rob and Dan are really busy with a zillion things, but you know, if you get a chance to kind of look at those sections of the climate action plan, you know, and give us some feedback would be real helpful, or, you know, things you want to add too, that'd be great too.
Yeah, Leroy, can you bump it to the top of my inbox this afternoon?
I will, yeah, I will also share it in the chat window here. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, happy to take a look. Thanks, John.
Great. Did you have something, Roger? Okay, wanted to talk about the solar home tour, which there's some interest in as you know, expanding this to sustainability sites, ecological landscapes, anything related to sustainability, even pump stations, perhaps. I think the wetland education team might be interested in identifying a few households that have natural landscapes or restored buffer areas. They're going to talk about it at their next meeting. But I wanted to get a sense if this is something that we might want to try again. As you know, it's sort of a hybrid tour where it's a combination of virtual and open houses. It's October 1st and 2nd. Just wanted to find your thoughts on that. Anybody have any questions or thoughts or suggestions?
And just related to that, you know, GLREA is because we're the ACES state chapter, which is the national sponsor for the tour. We're planning to do a statewide virtual kind of solar home tour, probably the first week of October, but also available to help local communities that are interested in doing in-person or virtual tours as much as we could, being a small nonprofit. But I like what you're suggesting, Leroy. I think the idea that it goes beyond solar and is really sustainable, and we could get some kind of maybe new things in there that might create some new interest, I think would be a real good thing. And now that we have so many kind of committees and task forces related to the Environmental Commission, I think we've got some folks who have been getting into these areas and they probably have lots of good ideas. You know, one thing that'd be real good too, although I don't know how this could be managed, is you know, connected to the solar sites on the map, the green map, right? We are able to refer people to the YouTube channel where they could you know, watch a video about that specific solar site. You know, it'd be great almost as an introduction if we add new things to the green map, that either there be maybe a short video about somebody talking about what's at the site, or a short description with photos or something, you know, that would just kind of Because I guess we're talking about the whole idea of increasing what's on the green map, right? And that stuff would be probably a lot of it accessible for somebody just to visit on their own. Am I in the right wavelength?
Yeah, as virtual sites, it's more of a promoting it that week, and here's a chance to maybe there are some live sites as well. But it's certainly a good way to draw attention to all the green infrastructure and green things going on in the township.
I love the idea of expanding that into all sorts of, because that's, I think, an important piece of the equation that sometimes is less flashy and doesn't get as much attention as far as the actual, reducing of use, and things like that. And I know, I don't know how we could find people. I'm sure there are folks out there that have all sorts of awesome stuff in their own, properties, whether it's green roofs. I know like MSU has a building with a green roof. I wouldn't be surprised if people are doing rain capture and then recycling that rain for their own use at home. I don't know how we can find those folks, but those are great things that I think should also be pointed out, because there's a lot more that can be done on individual homes and properties that I think we very rarely really even see or think about. I don't know how we can find folks like that, but
Heidi, as a solar owner and a sustainable site, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm fine with it. If that's what you're looking for, like, I'm fine with it.
Could we get a picture of you with your green helmet on the map?
I'm not around for that tour, so that's not an option, but
I'm just talking about a virtual.
yeah.
Okay.
Related to what Rod's saying, how to identify these, some of these are kind of bubbling up, because I know, in the Green Dialogue, Sarah Allen's been talking about her neighborhood pond and them kind of doing some native plantings there. And so, she'd, I bet, be thrilled to kind of talk about what was done and make some pictures and stuff. And that's a good example of, because it's a neighborhood pond, it would be accessible. People could drive by and kind of, oh, what's going on?
I wonder if getting any drone shots of things like that, or maybe like a video, could be pretty cool to add, as an introduction video. I mean, I don't know if there's any sites in particular, but I'm sure we could help to capture some images that otherwise maybe would be tough to get.
That's a cool idea. Home TV, our communications staff is pretty short staffed these days, just because Brandy left. In fact, Brandy's working over at Capillary Transportation Authority, so she hasn't totally left. But yeah, it might have to be stuff that pictures or stuff that we solicit from some of the sustainable sites or create, because I'm just not sure how much attention span. Although I do know that they like to focus in on actual events or newsworthy things that are where there's something happening. So instead of like promoting rainwater collection, if there's an actual event tied with it or a site tied with it, it's more something that they would pick up on.
And if there's difficulty getting, say, a drone shot or something, and there's a lot of interest in it, feel free to reach out to me. I can probably make that happen.
Sweet. Okay. Anything else people want to talk about? I think we're like to keep these meetings short and sweet over the lunch hour. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we're good. This recording is available if anybody needs it. I'll upload it on YouTube. And just real briefly, I did record a meeting earlier where EcoWorks in Detroit went over our energy benchmarking report. And they showed us how to, Bernie in our finance office, how to upload data to Portfolio Manager. So that video is available as well. Anyway, you all have a great day. And our next meeting, sorry.
Right.
I can't make the 18th of August, but you could certainly meet without me if you like, or we can, if the 25th works for you, I can do the 25th.
25th fine with me.
25th is good with me.
Let's go with the 25th.
Okay. Oh, great. And we'll set up that meeting with MSU between now and then, hopefully.
That sounds great. Good plan.
Sweet.
Cool.
You guys have a great day.
Thanks, you
everybody.
too. Bye, everybody.